Clapping it up, clapping it up. That one's for you, Ian, as always. He makes one remark, now that's what he gets every week. Welcome back to another episode of Pros with Con. Pro, today, Mallori Diamond, she's back. Say hello, Mallori.
Hi, everybody.
I don't know, I thought you were going to say hello, Mallori.
I was tempted.
You should have. Yeah, Mallori Diamond is back on, so if you wanted to catch more about who she is and what she does, episode number 5, go check it out. Box Strong community culture, I think it was about.
Mm-hmm.
Good episode, good amount of views from your people, so good support from the Box Strong community as always.
Box Strong community loves the podcast.
Do they really?
Yeah, they're always telling me things they heard in it.
Well, Sarah said she listens to it. And
it's a priority on Thursdays for her.
What's up. I respect that about her. I'll have to say thank you again. So go ahead and check that episode out if you want to learn more about Mallori and what she does and all her community stuff and that kind of thing. So we brought her back today. We're going to talk about some of the stuff we're involved in. A couple things for sure. Talk about how important it is to be fit and healthy as a parent and what those mean and what that means for her specifically. Talk about things we're involved in with extracurriculars, so nonprofits. She's wearing a hoodie today, the Center in Midland. We're going to talk about that. Talk about mission, our why we do things, why we incorporate that into our daily lives, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be good. I say that every episode, but it's going to be real good today.
You do say that every episode.
So you just got to give the people teasers.
It's building them up, though. This better be a good one, then.
It's going to be a great one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, all the things we're involved in. We mentioned last time we'd do the movement clinics and stuff. So that's part of the why and the mission that we kind of share. But also a couple other things. So the center in Midland. So would you like to talk about what the center actually is? She is on the board of directors. Is that a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Board of directors at the center in Midland. So nonprofit. So go ahead and give the people a quick rundown of what that is.
Yeah, so the Center is a nonprofit organization that developed kind of as a extension of our church. So 4 Mile Church just had this mission or this idea to reach more people with the gospel, and specifically in the town of Midland, which we are like 4 Mile is kind of Brighton Township headed into industry. Mm-hmm. So we've been experienced part of the Midland community in our church for many, many years. But we wanted to be in the town. And so some of our leaders went down there, kind of prayed over the community, what the needs were, and just kind of observed what those needs were and how we could meet them. And so 4 Mile started working within the town to satisfy some of those needs. Our mission is to equip and empower generations through Christ. So we start with kids and then we integrate into their families and things like that. We have food and clothing banks, programming. We run our fitness program with them, all different types of ways to serve the kids specifically. And so then a couple of years ago, we developed our own 501c3 and became our own nonprofit, the Center in Midland, PA. And so the mission is still the same. It's just now we're a different entity from our church. It's still a faith-based mission, as well as just bringing people the needs to satisfy their lives. So one of the ways that Nick and I are involved, and a bunch of other people from Box Strong and Dante from 580, is that we go down and we teach the kids how to move. Or not even teach them, but bring it in a fun and enjoyable way so that they can kind of instill it in their life. A lot of them are involved in sports. A lot of them aren't. But either way, as we know about fitness, once the sport goes away, it can be tough to continue to enjoy it. So our goal is to bring a lot of fun, a lot of energy, something different. So we bring them boxing and strength training once a month so that they can begin to, find joy in it, look forward to seeing us. And I think they do.
I agree.
Was that a good rundown?
I thought it was a perfect rundown,
okay.
Yeah. Definitely something that's been incorporated into my life over the past year or so. So thankful that you wanted to include me. So like she mentioned, we go once a month right now. Pick a Thursday or the third Thursday of every month.
A little bit more in the next couple months because they're going to come to me and to you.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a couple field trips planned where she's going to host them at her gym, Box Strong. a group of them, and then we also have them coming to Aurelius in February.
Yeah.
February. Just to kind of show them what I do and what we do here, and then same thing for you. Kind of put them through a workout, just to kind of give them out too, like on a field trip. I'm sure they'll look forward to something like that. But yeah, it's been cool to start incorporating that into my routine. The fitness thing, but it's also just very much just connections and building a sense of people they could rely on to show up, that they know will show up. And so that's been cool to kind of experience, I guess. And just, I feel like there's been a group of them every time that are new, and we just keep getting more and more and more. And
One definitely over the winter, because their sports kind of let up, and we get a new wave of kids. But yeah, consistency is so important in all ways in life, but just in leadership and in children, for them to see you showing up month after month. It helps build trust and buy-in. Like when we first started going, everyone kind of kept a distance. Coaches kept a distance, kids kept a distance, and now you can see them kind of perk up and look for us. Or we were at Light Up Night on Friday, and a bunch of girls and kids walked by, and you could see they wanted to say hi and get our attention. So that was cool.
Like, call me Conor McGregor nowadays.
I like that they're debating which one you are, and you're not even there to coach boxing.
That's true.
Nick primarily runs like the strength portion of our program, and then coaches from Box Strong, or volunteers. We're not even all coaches, but volunteers from Box Strong hold mitts and put everyone through like a boxing workout, so they get the best of both.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of just like every time we go, try and make up something new or something fun for them to do. Limited equipment, more just like getting their bodies moving, that kind of thing. Nothing too crazy or challenging or difficult, just more of like structure and fitness and getting them moving and getting them tired and that kind of thing, so they can burn off some energy. And
exposure is huge. So in Midland, we are restricted by no public transportation goes through Midland anymore for people to get like in and out of town. So if you don't have a vehicle, like that's just not something that's happening for you. And there's not a whole lot going on in the town of Midland in terms of fitness and nutrition and that sort of thing. So we just try to expose them to different things, different experiences. So even if it's the type of equipment we bring or the style of workout, and that's one of the reasons them coming to our gyms is going to be huge. Just, it'll be the first time they've seen heavy bags, or maybe even been in a gym in general. It's not like I was before I was an adult. Or they'll be here playing on the rig probably, and maybe picking up a barbell or whatever.
Yeah. So we have those field trips planned just to kind of get them out and have them have something to look forward to, but also just do a little bit more than their usual and that kind of thing. But the center's been a good thing for me personally, but also just for us to kind of expand on why we do things and our mission and all those things. And
what do you feel like you've gotten out of the center most?
I mean, that's a big time question.
Sorry, I
Put me
should
on
have
the spot
prepped you
like
with
that.
it.
Sheesh. Oh boy.
It can be general. I don't know.
I mean, what have I gotten the most out of it? Just connecting with kids. I feel like I like to.
You love kids.
Yeah, love kids. Love to just have fun with them and show them that it's not all seriousness, but it's also just that connection and relationship you build with them to be someone that they could rely on, that kind of thing. But also just have fun and that kind of thing. May have like a inspiration for them to maybe get something rolling in their life. So that's what I talked about when I spoke to them a few weeks ago, or a few months, I guess. How those can like turn into careers. So that's something that they could pursue. That it's not out of reach, that kind of thing. But also just having fun, doing fitness, teaching people, hanging out with like-minded people who share that same thing, that kind of thing. Yeah?
Yeah, no.
What about you? What have you gotten out of it?
Well, I've always sat on the board at the center, and so I've been behind the scenes.
You serve as treasurer?
I do serve as treasurer. Okay. So in my earlier days, I was an accountant. So I use my skill of tax and audit to serve the center in that way. So do a lot of their bookkeeping, work on their tax return with Josh. And I've always been kind of behind the scenes, which I like. But you really feel the mission and experience the mission whenever you're with the people who it's all about. So though I value my role as treasurer, this has just been a really exciting way to get involved that I wasn't sure how to before. And so when we talked to Jen about this idea, it just seemed like a great fit, especially one of our directors at the center, Corey Miller, passed away in the past couple of years, and he has just been a huge influence on the entire community, both from a standpoint of just like a male presence, which is huge, but also just fun and energy. If you know Corey, you know. And so the loss of him has been significant at the center. And so we had this desire, and I know you and I talked about this early on, of just bringing more male presence into the kids' lives, but also just that fun and that energy that they need. Corey used to let them wrestle all the time. Like, he would oversee it and supervise, but he knew like these kids need to get out this type of energy. And especially with the stuff that we talk about that they go through. And so boxing strength training has just been a really therapeutic way for them to do that. So the mix of having you and Dante present for them, and Johnny's in there with us as well, and but being able to do something aggressive and energizing with their body has been huge. So for me, it's been finally bringing like a new skill that I have, that I think God has gifted me with into that mission, into the community, but also being able to like really fill a need that was there.
That was a phenomenal answer.
Oh, thanks.
It made me feel like mine was inadequate.
Yours was excellent.
I know, but
especially because I do think, not that you don't put in work to build a relationship with the kids, but I definitely think God has just gifted you with this spirit of drawing children towards you, which I know sounds super weird, but if you ever see you here at Aurelius, the kids just like, they flock. My kids love, I mean, just kids in general. I look over at you at the center. I'm like, what did he even do? But they're all over there with him.
Just look like Conor McGregor.
So I think it's just an obedience too to how you've been gifted. So to see that has just been fun for me to watch you in that element.
Yeah, and then while you were saying all that too, I was thinking like also just the connections I built with your coaches and volunteers. So with Sarah and Lynn, just seeing them more, and Janae, Julia, just being with them more and having that relationship building with them too, just people who get it and understand why we're there, that kind of thing. But also everyone there that's like volunteers, so like Jen and like the other people that we see that like give us a fist bump every time we go, like, good to see you, we appreciate you guys so much for coming, that kind of thing. That's been cool too. So it's not just about the kids, it's also mainly about the kids, but also helping the limited volunteers that they definitely have, and whatever we could do to help serve them as well. That's been also a good thing to take away and look forward to.
I mean, that's our entire mission at the center, is just, yes, equip and empower, but generations through Christ. It's just our relationship building throughout. So while we're there, yes, we have a goal to bring fitness to them, but it's just also just shed and share love all around. So I think we try to do that from the second we walk in the door within our team, within the team that's there, and then, of course, the kids. Yeah,
and that's kind of like how this all ties together, just through serving and helping people, but also just through like fitness, which obviously is a big part of our lives. So why this is an important topic to talk about today, just how that incorporates and just stuff we're involved in to help show people like what we're doing that could be an inspiration for others to try and do the same, or also come help us. Like, we're always open for volunteers to come help at the center with us in Midland and stuff, and encourage you to check it out and all those things. But that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it does incorporate into our fitness goals and our fitness missions and the bigger why of things and all that kind of stuff. Would you agree?
Yeah. Actually, can I share something that I read this morning?
You can share.
It's always timely, isn't it?
Sure.
I came across a quote when I was listening to a podcast that Mary Beth had sent me. But it says, this is by John Wesley, and he was just like an evangelist within the church. And I think that this applies to what we're talking about with the center, but really fitness in general. But it says, do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. And it just made me think of, honestly, you and just the way that you live your mission. It's just like, how can I do good and help people and serve? And I can do that in so many ways with all the skills that I have, and try to bless as many people as possible. So I think that that's kind of how we carry what we do in the gym outside of the gym. If we get asked, hey, how can we get you guys involved in this? It's like, yeah, that seems to align with our mission, because it's how can we serve as many people as possible with what we have found to be so impactful in our lives. So I think that can span in a variety of ways. Like we do it with our movement clinics, which is an extension of Box Strong, sure. Kids clinic coming up at my gym, which you're going to help me with, extension of our gym, but even at the center. We aren't publicizing Box Strong or Aurelius or 580 necessarily. We're just using what we know and applying it. So
yeah, and I guess that kind of is why we wanted to get them to come to us too. So to our respective gyms, Box Strong, see what they do with strength or mitts and boxing, and then come see strength and conditioning or whatever it is here. Just all the ways we're involved, that different gyms involved. So just representing each of our communities and how those three communities always just seem to align and get it and work together in those capacities. So, I mean, that was a pretty good quote, I guess. All the ways we can.
when things like this come up, when needs like this arise, you guys are the first people I reach out to because I know like-minded is just we're all gonna align on it. So as soon as this opportunity came up, I think I texted you, Kurt and Josh. I was like, hey, are we gonna get after this? And then everybody shows up.
Yeah, and I guess I've seen that since I've been at Aurelius, like you and Kurt always collaborating and you and Josh always collaborating, and just everyone kind of understanding that it's more than just fitness. It's more like we use that as a tool to help reach others and serve others, that kind of thing. So that's why it kind of ties into what this podcast talks about, and then also our whys, our bigger mission, like what you drive towards every day, what I do, and how those align, how that works within the center, and then all these things just all connected in that way.
That was a little less aggressive than usual.
Well,
everything is connected to something.
But yes, so that kind of brings us to what else I wanted to talk about was what is our why and our mission. And I mean, we kind of talk about it. We've touched on it before with you and I've touched on it with Kurt and all the guests I've had and that kind of thing. But I think it's important to note like how that ties into what we do within our Move It clinics, within what I do here at Aurelius, what me and Kurt do, and Leah and all these coaches, and then what you do at Box Strong and that kind of thing. But how we align as you and I within the center and my new found faith in Christ and all those things, as very much part of what we do at the center and that kind of thing. So just wanted to talk about how that is a part of your life. So why? What is the bigger why? I mean, we talk about it all the time. I post about it all the time. Like, it's bigger than you or me or fitness or anything. It's like, how can I serve people? How can you serve people? So I wanted to talk about what your mission is specifically and what your why is and what your driving factors are, what gets you up every day and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I guess it's fitting then that we're talking about parenting and how that relates to fitness as well, because I think I mentioned on episode 5 when I was
Number 5.
when I was here last time, that I kind of fell out of fitness for a few years when I was working in a CPA firm, just the nature, the culture of that business. And when Josh and I decided we were ready to have kids, I'm like, I gotta clean up my act. I can't sleep like this, eat like this, not exercise and expect to house a little tiny human in my body who I'm gonna love and want to just serve them as best I can. So when we were having those discussions of beginning a family, I was like, I need to start focusing on my physical well-being so that I can start my motherhood serving as best as I can. And so I started exercising again more consistently, started changing the way I was eating, or I wasn't even really eating a whole lot, to be honest. I was skipping meals like crazy, more than I do now, believe it or not. And cutting back, I stopped drinking caffeine. It's been reintegrated into life, but stopped drinking caffeine. Now, those are extremes. I'm not saying that everybody needs to do that. That was just personal conviction. But I just decided to start taking better care of myself before even considering getting pregnant. So that's kind of what started my mission. And then when I experienced the benefits of that, just the way my life started to change, my energy levels, my how I was feeling, how much less sick I was getting, just little things that you start to notice in your everyday life improvements just kept fueling that fire to keep it going. And so then once I got pregnant, I was able to work out my entire pregnancy. Felt really good after you get through those first miserable weeks of constantly being sick and sleepy and not sleeping.
Shout out Kaylee Fry. Just had that conversation with her. She said she was pretty sick.
Is she feeling better now?
Yeah, she's fine now, but Chris was saying how sick she was.
I know. Josh would be like, I don't get it. Like, you look okay. I'm like, I am not okay. Like, dry heaving over the toilet before we leave for work. But I mean, it can be rough, right? You go, like, some people get it for 6 weeks and some people can have it 20 or the entire time.
Sheesh.
But the more I exercised, the better I ate. That seemed to like keep it at bay. But anyway, and then after I had Cecilia, just like continuing to work out and realizing how much it impacted my life, I wanted to share that. And so that's when I started coaching classes in the park and stuff, just bringing other women together with something I had found that I loved, and also knew I needed. You know, whenever we were just talking about this right before we went on, but when Cecilia would cry and I'd be in the middle of my workout, that's when we started to learn how to cry it out and figure out that I wasn't coming right away because I needed to take care of me so I could take care of her. It wasn't going to be helpful for me to be angry and frustrated that I got interrupted in the middle of my workout and then go and try to nurture and care for her. So it's where she started to practice patience and had to wait on me to finish up my reps or whatever. And I'd come get her and she became part of my reps. You know, I'd squat with her in my arms or whatever. I'd literally bicep curl the child. But anyway, that just kind of fueled my mission to continue to bring that to people. And so I specifically noticed, I was equipped to train men and women, but specifically women, parents. I just found a passion for that. I learned what it was providing to my life, the benefit it was providing, and I wanted to share that with others. And the main thing, just being able to serve well. And I think that that's where, despite parenthood not being part of your life yet, we kind of share in that is like, in order for me to do all the things that I want to do and serve all the people that God has called me to serve, I need to have the energy, the strength, and the ability to do so. And so as cliche as it sounds, like my training, I couldn't care less what I look like or whatever, but I want to be able to train for life so that I can do all the things I want to do. So I can chase my kids around a park, or that I can keep up with them, or as Cecilia gets faster than me, I can keep pace, you know? So that's just been part of my personal mission, but then that's translated completely into how we serve at Box Strong. But ultimately, it's not just serve my family and my friends and the people around me and my clients, but just serving the kingdom. My mission at Box Strong is faith-based. We don't necessarily advertise that like I'm doing right now, but it is. And so Matthew 28 is a huge part of what we do, and it's go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations. And I have found a really unique platform at Box Strong to be able to serve people and love people and make disciples. And so that's what we do and why we do it. And fitness has been a way I can kind of share that mission with other people. That was long.
I'll see you. That's all we needed. That was an amazing answer.
Thanks.
I don't even know how to follow that up. Yeah, definitely. Just how you live your life, how you incorporate that into your business, how you serve others. I mean, if anyone knows you, they know the type of person you are when you serve and how you help people, or try to as much as you can. Life gets busy, but you do all the things you can every day. But it's just been cool to kind of see that work within our relationship within the center and what we do at the movement clinics, and why it's like just getting people to understand how important physical fitness is for you physically, but also mentally. And then you could also incorporate the spiritual aspect of faith and how that's driven as well. So, I mean, obviously for the longest time that really wasn't in my sight, but it is nowadays. So it's been cool to kind of make that connection with us and what your mission is as a parent, first and foremost, but also a coach or a trainer or whatever you want to coin yourself as, someone that helps people be better, just physically in the gym, and how that translates to outside of the gym. It's a big theme on this podcast. Well,
that's a big theme of your life. That's why I love the concept of fitness, but extract the word fit. I mean, that just talks about like how can I be fit for certain roles in my life? And you're always speaking to that. Like even at the movement clinics, you're very intentional to say, like, how does this movement get replicated in my life? So if it's an overhead press, you're talking about, you know, your classic Nick Con example of picking up a suitcase, putting it in the top of an airplane, or
everyone loves to travel. I don't know.
Or when people are thinking too hard about their squat, just breaking it down to like when I sit back into a chair, like let's not overthink it. But just getting them to translate, not, hey, this is how I use this movement in my training in the gym. You talk to them about how do I use this movement in my training outside of the gym so that they can see like the whole point of us being here. Yeah, if you love this and if you enjoy it and you find something in it, that's great. But what are we doing with what our movements are outside of the gym? So I just feel like you're constantly talking about how our fitness actually prepares us to be fit for the different roles of our life, whether that's parenthood or whether it's our jobs or whatever.
Yeah, and that's definitely a credit and testament just to further investing myself into the CrossFit world of furthering education, all those certificates and things you do. Like, certificates are cool, whatever, it is what it is, but it's like what you actually learn, all the research you do. So I post about it often every time I see something cool. I mean, there's a couple this past week I posted about the guy who deadlifts 475 pounds and it's now 505 or whatever. That's, yeah, sick. Awesome. Keep it moving.
You said
bud.
It with as much sass as that guy did.
Keep
too.
it moving, bud. He's just a really strong guy who got even stronger. But the lady or older gentleman, whoever it was, that was going to sell their house because they couldn't walk up steps, but now they can because of CrossFit. Like, that's the bigger why, obviously. So, like, someone who had to sell their home because they couldn't literally walk upstairs, but now they can because they incorporated fitness or CrossFit, the methodology behind it, into their lives. That's the ultimate why. So, like, that's kind of how that started incorporating into my life. But what I coach here at CrossFit, what I try and bring to Box Strong and the movement clinics, everything is from what I've learned in CrossFit, just how to apply it and what is the bigger why. So that's just been a cool thing to kind of translate over and how our worlds connect, because it's all fitness at the end of the day. It's just what type of term are we using here. So that's why I always say, like, CrossFit, you guys do CrossFit here at Box Strong. You just don't think it just because it's not labeled as that, but we do these elements at our gym. You do elements that we do at our gym. So, like, it's all connected in a way. So I just try and get people to understand that it's CrossFit, but it's also what's the bigger why? What's the bigger reasoning? Walking up steps when you couldn't, so you don't have to sell your house now. Like, that's why we do things. So how do we incorporate that into people's lives? Well, we start with people like at the center, the kids, getting them early invested in understanding the importance of this for life and why that is translating inside the gym and outside the gym, why we talk about that often here. So it's important to dissect the sport of CrossFit or the sport of boxing, but also, like, what is the bigger reasoning behind it? It's probably 99% of people are more like, how do I just stay healthy and fit so I can chase my grandkids or, like you said, run around the playground with Cecilia, neighbor them kids as you grow older, that kind of thing.
Well, I think it's about just changing the dialogue, right? Like, if we were to hear people talk, and I think you and I would raise an eyebrow, but over this conversation of, yeah, they had to move out of their house because they had stairs, they couldn't use the stairs anymore. I think the general population would probably be like, oh, yeah, that's unfortunate. And we're like, why? Why did it have to get there?
Why?
It didn't. But it, you're going to get me started again.
New girl.
New girl. But that didn't have to be the case. And to you and I, that would be infuriating. Like, we can't turn back time, you know, but that's why starting young and just getting this perspective and changing the way we talk about why fitness matters. It can be about the way that you look. That I know that can bring value to people, but it's so much more about just moving well. Because when you're not moving well, it's just distraction, you know, from all the things you want to do or can do. And so if your knee's not hurting, you're not thinking about your knee hurting all the time. It's not becoming part of your life. You're feeling joy outside of that. And so I just think when we change the dialogue, how we talk about these things, it's going to make it less normal to say, well, they just couldn't walk up the steps anymore, and more about making sure that that never happens. And there are circumstances for sure. I mean, we age, we are not living forever. Our bodies are meant to wither, but let's try to do it with some style and grace. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I guess that's just like a testament to, like, what Kurt and I talk about earlier in these episodes of this is for life. You're not too old to do things. It might be more challenging as you grow older to start if you're not already incorporating that into your daily life, but that's why we do what we do, to try and start it early, or at least try and get people educated and knowledgeable on, like, what this could do for them in the future. So this isn't just like for sport, this is for life. This is a lifestyle. Like, how is this going to help you just going into those later years to do what you want to do, or make you able to do the things you want to do?
And that can go beyond, like, as coaches, we communicate that. But even just to our members, like at Aurelius, at Box Strong, I think we can all take part in communicating that message. You know, I heard Carrie actually came to Box Strong for the first time this past week, and she was talking to one of our members, Robin, about like where she had just come from. She was at an Aurelius workout, came to Box Strong, and Robin's like, I don't know, could I do that? And Carrie's like, yeah, everything's scalable. It just rolled.
Shout out Carrie.
Yeah, Carrie did a great job. But she just communicated that she scales things, and some days she has to, and she just made it so consumable and approachable to come to CrossFit. She didn't make it sound intimidating or anything. And I think we have a role and responsibility as members within our communities to communicate that message. I had 2 older women come to my community last year. They literally came to the door in the middle of class and like observed it. They're like, we couldn't do this, could we? Yeah, absolutely. We will make sure you do this. And I just didn't give them any other option about it. You know, I think it's important to remember, yes, this mission of fitness is about you, but you're also inspiring people. You take anybody who's ever walked into your community for the first time and they start to see those changes, you know there's a ripple effect. Like their family's seeing it, their friends are seeing it. And so if we just keep sending the message that it can be consumable by everybody, we're just going to break down those walls of I'm too old or I'm too past that point to be able to do this. So I think we can adapt that message not just as coaches, but as our members as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was it.
You're firing me all kinds of ways up
Man.
right now. All cylinders. It's good stuff. Just saying.
You get fired up easily.
That's not true. Fired up. Yeah.
Were you just looking at me and that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of just the whole goal of what today's episode was about, getting people to understand, like, the bigger reasoning about, like, what you and I talk about, what we think about, how we incorporate that into what we do at our respective gyms, what we do together, movement clinics, that type of thing. So the movement clinics were designed to just help people slow down. We both recognize the importance of taking that step back so you could take those 6 steps, 7, 8 steps forward and be further than what you were before. You don't have to do it all the time, but it was just important to kind of collide what we do as coaches, what I do here, what you do at Box Strong, and just get people to understand, like, this is what we're trying to teach. It's not just what you see on the internet. It's more thought out and intentional, and like what we do here at CrossFit. So people have come to take classes here. Carrie and people maybe have gone to take Box Strong classes, just immersing yourself in those communities and cultures that we have established, what's Kurt established here, what you have at Box Strong, to just get people moving pretty much. So what can we do to get you feeling good all the time, as much as possible, I should say. So that's kind of the idea behind the movement clinics. I have a passion to help others, help serve others, so this is a cool way to do that. As you mentioned previously, that's why you kind of started incorporating that into your daily life as a parent, but also like in your mission at Box Strong and the bigger why. What's the bigger mission? And this is pretty much it. Like, that's why we use those in ways like the center and all the other ways we do whatever we can.
Main reason of why when we talk goals at Box Strong, and I love hearing about anybody's individual goals, but one of the ways I just kind of pump up my members and get them fired up is to, that was probably so loud, I apologize.
I'm fired up now.
Sorry. Is not necessarily to talk about all the ways they can lose things. Like, I know in fitness we can lose weight, we can lose fat, burn calories, but what can we gain? I know that's so cliche, but gaining strength is a huge thing that we talk about at Box Strong, because while you do that, I think all those other things are just going to fall into place, but gaining strength is going to help you gain so much more out of your life. And so
confidence.
You love talking about confidence.
People love to make fun of me how much I love
Oh, just a smidge. Confidence. It's just because the visibly seeing you get fired up is fun for me and them.
Respect.
But so, again, just changing the way we communicate about it, changing our mindset as we approach it. I think there's a lot to gain. And then that just has a trickle effect through your life. I think I said trickle last time I was on here and you teased me.
I don't know, but you did say ripple effect earlier.
Ripple, trickle, whatever.
Ripple effect. Gotta watch. Yes. Just those conversations you have with people, understanding goals. So like me and Kurt talked about that a lot, intentionally saying your goals and that kind of thing. And you're no different. You are big on that as well, being intentional about what the goals are. Gaining strength should be one of the top ones because like you said, probably helps all the other ones. Getting confident and being able to do things you never thought you'd be able to do. So that's why we like that here. Seeing people's faces light up when they get those double unders or that bar muscle up or whatever it is, and you see people having a PR of, I don't know, RDLs or like Lindsay's example of that kind of thing. Her hinge, just that was no pain. That's what we do for. So bigger why, bigger mission, how all those things incorporate into one another through faith and fitness and the church and the center and Box Strong and Aurelius and 580 too. So all these things tied together as one. Know what I'm saying?
I do.
You do. That's why you're a pro.
Well, and you just mentioned Lindsay, so maybe this is a good transition for us because we were going to talk about parenting and how this relates. But so on Thursday, our community does the turkey trot on Thanksgiving. We're closed at Box Strong, but that's kind of something we all take part in. And that number of people participating in that is growing every year. Not by a lot, but a few people. Everybody hates to run, so they just think of it like, if I'm not running, I'm not participating or whatever. But no, walk, jog, whatever. We don't really care. And everybody brings their kids. It's a family event. Husbands are there, kids are there. But Lindsay was someone who came to us 2 years ago when we were in the park when COVID kind of was in full effect, and we had just recently transitioned out of one gym and were getting ready to move into the next. And she had not exercised in, I think she said 9 years, like really. Jeez. So her first workout was the Murph. We were doing it in the park. And it was like a scaled Murph because we didn't have all the equipment for pull-ups and stuff like that. So we were doing rows, push-ups, and squats, and then people tacked on their runs. But she still tells the story that she woke up in the middle of the night of the Murph, and she wasn't sure if she needed to go see a physician or not because she felt so much pain in her body. So she was like popping ibuprofen. But I'm thinking, well, yeah, the Murph probably wasn't a great transition into exercise again after 9 years. But that is kind of how I started with Lindsay 2 years ago. And just on Thursday at the turkey trot, you were there when her family came over and her daughter wanted to tell me what happened, and she was able to run the entire 5K, and her oldest daughter was able to run it in 28 minutes, and that was like her goal or a PR for her. And Lindsay was with them the entire time. So Brad was back with the kids who were sick and weren't able to run.
I saw him hopefully doing that.
Yeah, he was like pressing one of the babies.
He's a big guy.
He is, sure is. Also a Box Strong member.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I feel like he...
I remember I tell you he leaves his whole self on the floor.
Yeah. I saw him the other day. He had a cinnamon roll in his hand.
He sure did. But Lindsay was able to run with her kids for the entire route. Now, I don't know 2 years ago, based on her Murph experience, if that would have been a possibility for her. But she has the memory of seeing her daughter not quit for an entire 5K for the first time, and the memory of seeing Haley in front of them running it in 28 minutes. So just being able to be involved as a parent, instilling fitness into your kids, I'm sure her kids are inspired by her dedication and her change. But I that's just something that can't be taken away from her because she has put in the work to show up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. when nobody else probably wants to, right? It's so much easier to stay in your bed and cuddle your kids and your spouse.
She's got
and all
a lot
that.
of them too.
She sure does. But in order to be the kind of mom I know she desires to be, which is free of pain, energized, and strong so that she can homeschool and nurture them and serve her household, she has made fitness a priority. And so she got to see the fruits of that this Thanksgiving, which was really, really cool.
Yes. Prioritizing herself so she could serve others. So that's what I do. That's what you do. And people who understand that, and I know there's a couple people here might feel a certain way about that, like Lex, like takes pride in being a strong mom. So that's fun and cool to see. I know Amanda does too. They bring their kids around. Just all the new moms here. I know you talked to Bridget yesterday. So that's someone who is obviously one of the stronger women I definitely know for sure, just in CrossFit, but in general, moms who take pride in being strong women and moms, that kind of thing. So that's been cool to see how it ties into there too, but the importance of that. So I know Kurt takes pride in that too now, just being a new dad, all these people. So
when for a long time before kids, you realize like I really just have to prioritize myself, take care of myself, and then when someone else needs you, and like babies need you. It's so important then to prioritize your sleep, your eating, and even moms especially, like not to get too graphic, but our kids are nourished by us for the first year of their lives. And so you think about just even your nutrition, how much that matters. If you're a nursing mom, your fitness and your sleep cycles to being able to serve them also contributes to that. So it just gets really real once you have people that truly depend on you.
Yeah. And just how that support system too. So we mentioned Lindsay's husband just being there while she's able to do those things in another way. So that support is huge too. But just instilling that prioritizing fitness in your life first and foremost isn't selfish. It's more so selfless. Like you're doing something to help you, so you're able to be there for whoever. So that's why we incorporate fitness into our lives as much as we do, because we understand the importance of it physically, mentally, the release it gives us to get out any frustrations or stressors that we might have in our daily lives. So again, this is an important topic we talk about here with Kurt and I, and then also what we're talking about right now.
And I know at first it can seem selfish. Like I definitely felt guilty to do my workouts when I could hear Cecilia needing me, or whenever I knew my kids were at home and I was out at the gym or whatever. But then like this week, just there was a moment where I didn't go do my normal routine. Maybe it was Friday, because I'm usually here on Friday afternoons.
Friday was, because it was...
Yes. And Cecilia said, aren't you supposed to be at the gym?
Post-Thanksgiving, yeah.
And it was just it was a reality for me that has become a normal part of our life, and that she sees it that way and kind of even questioned me, like accountability.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Why?
Get to the
now,
gym,
maybe she
bro.
wanted to get rid of me so she could get away with something that Josh would let her do. But
hey, Josh.
it also just became,
Hope he hears this sometime soon.
It'll be a couple months.
That's all right.
Josh's a little delayed on listening. It's fine. But I was thankful. That's something I used to feel guilty about or worried about, their perspective of me being gone. They know is normal and that there's a need for it. And they started incorporating fitness into their lives as well. So I think that you make that transition in time. It's hard at first to see it as anything other than selfish, but in time, and I had that realization just this week, they'll get it, they'll get on board with it, and you'll be grateful, because we know obesity rates, we know mental health going on with kids right now. It's significant. So just instilling that earlier and earlier is just huge.
Yeah, and that's why it's cool to see people like the Bells working out. I mean, they've been very consistent since they started a little over a year ago. Just stuff like that, showing your kids that you're that strong. I know the Kinsels too, they take pride in that. So just shout out to all you people, all you parents. That's big time. Like I said, I know Kurt kind of has a new sense of that, probably just being a new dad. So it's important, and it's cool to see that is something that you start incorporating and you didn't really know before. It's just another why to your list. So yeah, being fit, looking good in the mirror, all that kind of healthy stuff you think you know, just based off you see on the internet. But what is the bigger why? Like, it's being able to be functionally moving for the rest of your life. Putting that suitcase in the airplane type stuff, sitting on a chair. So that's just like how it ties all together in the sense of our why, our mission, but also like what you think about by being a parent or being a mom, and then having that support system too, just people who get it. So that's why I mentioned those people here who are newly into the parenthood and they understand it, I'm sure. The bigger why, right? The bigger why.
Oh my gosh.
The mission behind everything, that kind of thing. So that's just been a cool topic to kind of dive into as far as what we're involved in and why we do what we do. So the mission we have behind the center, and kind of incorporating that into my life, my newly acquired faith, and how that's important, and how that ties into fitness and all the people that I follow. So like Rich Froning, who's obviously big in that world and space, and obviously others, but everyone knows Rich Froning in the CrossFit world. So good guy, family man, fitness, faith, all kinds of stuff. Service, serve, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I want to just talk about, someone who gets it,
I get it.
You get it. There's someone who gets it. It's you. But yeah, it's an important topic because of the parenting thing where people feel like they just can't keep up or whatever the excuse is, for lack of a better word, whatever is going on.
And there are going to be excuses.
Yeah.
There's going to be times. Sometimes we got to put those away. Sometimes.
Yeah. Just knowing it's not selfish. I mean, again, I can't really speak to this because I'm not a parent, but someone who has realizations about this. And you see it. Just if you logically think about it, just on the internet, you see posts about like you're not being selfish by taking care of yourself. You're doing yourself a service, so you're able to take care of others. Like, just imagine how hard it's going to be if you're not taking care of yourself, and all that kind of builds up physically, mentally, whatever it is. You don't have that release. You get stressed. You get behind. You get overwhelmed. Taking that, whatever it is, hour, half hour, 20 minutes, doesn't matter. Do something.
And it might not always be perfect. Like,
ain't perfect at all.
Nick, you're a big part of our Sunday family walks when it's not cold. Now that it's cold, heck. But they are not always perfect, right? Like someone, I think you've ended up with a child on your back before.
I think they're perfect.
Because you love the chaos. But someone's going to be screaming sometimes. Someone's not going to like it. Push through. It's important for them to see it, but also you're getting moving as well. So just kind of maybe putting away the expectations that it's going to look exactly a certain way. That's very hard for me.
Yeah.
Because I've developed such a routine,
I would say,
with my fitness and with my kids, and being able to, have my own gym, so be there at a certain time to do my fitness sometimes. But so whenever things don't go according to plan, we can kind of be hard on ourselves. But just knowing, like with kids, it just doesn't. And so, at our house, we have a rack set up in the garage, and we have our barbell and our plates and all that. But so does Cecilia. Like, she has her little trainer bar and stuff. So they're going to get bored and they're going to whine and cry, but having tools available to them to like dig into, and they're not going to get hurt on them. They're 5 pounds or less, but it's just a way for them to just keep moving so you can keep moving. So take away the expectation that it's always going to go perfectly. And if you didn't get in all of your reps according to what the program said, it wasn't worth it. No, it was worth it. You still were able to move. You still took care of yourself mentally and physically, and you were able to showcase something to your kids, just like you adapting to adversity, which also a huge part of what you like to talk about.
Yeah, definitely never goes according to plan. You try. Routine's important for sure, consistency, but like you were talking about earlier, you had to do sometimes where you just do some squats with Cecilia or curls with Cecilia.
It's the only way she'd stop crying sometimes.
Just being flung around by her mom.
Well, I would like replicate the movements that I would do whenever she was in my belly.
Comforting in a way.
Yes. Yeah.
Feels like home.
Moms know.
Oh, yeah.
They know.
Moms know, yeah.
Am I talking too much?
No, I kind of keep an eye on things, Talking
well, I just like to have my monologues.
Well,
and you sit there quite patiently for them.
All important things. All important things that need to be discussed. So that was kind of the goal for today. Just why, mission, like what we do, why we do it, how that incorporates into stuff like the center, and why we look forward to that, and all those things, but also parenthood. I know we have this kind of topic to, me and Kurt want to talk about it with someone as well, just like why that's important, just get a different perspective on it. So this was cool to kind of get yours too. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because you do take it very seriously. Like, it's something that is a big part of your life. It's a priority every day, or as much as you can. I know, like you said, stuff happens sometimes, but you make it much a priority, very much priority to get your movement in, so you're able to kind of get that release out, and you're able to tend to your kids and husband and family and your friends and the service in the center and all these things you're involved in. So it's important for people to see the pro across the table here today and what we're kind of involved in, and why we're doing things like the movement clinic and the center in Midland and all these things. And we just wanted to obviously get the word out about a nonprofit.
Center.Midland.
Huh?
Center.Midland. That's how you find us.
Center.Midland. That's how you find the board of directors.
No, that's how you find the donate button.
Yeah, the donate button. So we encourage you guys to check it out for sure. So it'd be, I feel like, a disservice if we didn't try and get people to that's kind of the reason why we want to bring awareness, and volunteers are always welcome. I know I'm talking
Mentors. Oh my
mentors.
goodness,
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of kids there. Several kids.
Last week we walked into 54.
Was that the most we've ever had so far?
So far, 54, and there were only 4 coaches. We were like, ugh.
Ain't no thing. We took care of it.
Sure did.
Because half of them
And
left.
so did Jen.
Half of them went to another part of the building and did other stuff, so helped out a little bit.
Sure did.
Still a lot of kids, though, to connect with. I mean, I know, like I said, every time they're Conor McGregor. And I know that one kid that comes up to me says, "I'd be going crazy in the gym." That's what he says to me every time. I'm like,
All right.
I bet you are.
Oh, he is? I thought you were.
No, he was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what he says. I don't know, he's like 12 or something.
That was a direct quote.
Yeah, I see, I'd be going crazy. I said, that's what's up. So, yeah, that's all good stuff for sure. What we're involved in, why, mission, parenthood, motherhood. It's all connected.
Everything is connected to
Yeah, so that was good. Anything else you want to plug about
plug?
center, anything you didn't already say? I think you did a very good job of
Oh, thanks.
explaining.
Yeah, just go honestly learn more. Spreading awareness, I think, is just as important as donating or giving or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, if
So
not more.
just spreading awareness is huge for the center. Praying over our community if you're a praying person, and what we have to offer and do within Midland and what God has called us to do. So if that's up your alley, definitely go learn more about the center in Midland, PA, and find ways to jump in with us. We will always find a place for coaches on our team for third Thursday of each month, but I know there's plenty other ways to get connected, different ministries.
That's right.
That's all I got.
Cool. Anything looking forward to? Anything positive in your life this past week? Anything that happened?
I mean, you got baptized last Sunday. That was pretty significant. Cried like a baby.
I sure did.
That happened last week. So I'm looking forward to worshiping with you in a couple hours as a newly dunked person. But December will be a lot of fun at Box Strong. We've got all kinds of stuff coming up. We have a couples night, which is something I find to be just so significant for our community. Like you said, spouses are a great support system for our members. And so we have couples nights where we get to bring husbands and wives into the gym and just kind of have a fun night out. So that's coming up. You and I are going to run a kids clinic in December as well. So that sign-up's coming in just like 2 days. And then we've got our community party, which is going to happen on December 29th. Thank you. 29. 29. That's coming up as well. So that's just a great time for us to all be together and just be reflective and thankful, and good stuff.
Very much.
How about you?
Not a whole lot going on this week. No, I'm just kidding. It was cool.
Always a lot going on.
Sure. Cool to have family. Parents back for the first holiday. Big holiday, major holiday. That was cool. Just relaxing. Always on the go, you and I both, so it's kind of nice to take a step back every so often and just hang out and have a glass or two of bourbon by chance.
Or two.
Or just two, no more.
Old fashioned.
Oh, yeah.
Nick makes a mean old fashioned.
A mean. We had flag football yesterday with Aurelius versus Springfield, so that was a good turnout. It was a good time.
You were so
It was a good time playing football.
easily excitable there.
Yeah, what you gotta do? Yeah, let the people know. That was fun. Yeah, we got holiday parties coming up too. So we had Thanksgiving workout, and then this past weekend was just full of community of Aurelius. What we got? December
17th.
is
We
our
really
holiday
could do
party.
better at keeping track of our own schedules.
We got each other.
Yeah,
though, so.
good.
December 17th is Aurelius' holiday party, so that's always a good time. Just
Any big gym moments for you this week?
gym moments. Had a couple people reach out about like videos and pull-ups and stuff, so that was cool to kind of help. Allison hit a big PR on Tuesday
That's right.
night, clean and jerk PR. That's always fun for me personally.
She's so casual when she lets go to the bar. Like, no big deal.
Yeah. Inside, she's freaking out probably. I think Lex did a PR yesterday too. Just all kinds of good lifting moments. People seem. I got a good video of the bells. I forgot to post. I will do that. Just them lifting behind each other.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, do it again. I need to get it on video. Yeah. Just good stuff all around. Yeah. That was a good episode. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate our conversations always, but this one was good, I think, for people to see the kind of extra stuff we're involved in to help bring awareness and fitness, and we're not just doing it at our respective gyms. We're trying to get out and do more as much as we can to help and serve others.
Good partnership.
Right? So, yeah, good stuff. Thanks for my coffee.
Oh, most welcome.
We'll see you later. That's it. That's it for today.
You're still going.
No, we're done. Bye.
Oh, gosh.
You have been listening to the Pros with Colin podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor. Come back each week for a new episode. Thanks for listening.